All right, welcome to FinTech and Blockchain Insider at Money2020. I'm joined by Aman from Microsoft, literally Aman from Microsoft. How are you, Aman?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Really, really well. How's Money2020 been?
You know, it's really amazing. The buzz has just gotten better and better through the day. Monday morning felt like a Monday morning in London. By the time you got to the afternoon and yesterday, this place was just hopping. And I think one thing that's really interesting is to see how FinTech is maturing to such a level. And you know, big companies are turning around really how they're embracing and how they're behaving and how they're changing.
I think the size of this conference is a testament to the fact that FinTech is here to stay and it's mainstream now. You've got CEOs of banks walking around the floors and you've got the proper C-suite people trying to find the FinTechs that are going to help their business.
Yeah, an analogy was made in one of the keynotes opening up about comparing Money2020 now to maybe the Mobile World Congress about a decade ago. The big difference between that and here is one, developers are at the center, but two, you'll have a stand like MasterCard right next to an AI startup.
Yes, that you never really got to the Mobile World Congress. That was always quite big, wasn't it? But let's talk to me about the work you're doing. What is it you're doing at Microsoft?
So I'm CTO of our financial services consulting practice in the UK, and I work very closely with our major customers to help them do what we call digital transformation. But that's really about modernizing and doing the stuff we're seeing here. So how can you pivot towards being more experience-led? How can you support businesses as a bank or as an insurance company that are experienced businesses and not just making widgets?
Not just making widgets and not just doing features. It's really about making that infrastructural level change, right?
Yeah, and it's that next level, right? Yeah. So we're very bullish on cloud. The Microsoft Cloud has many features that enable this transformation, but ultimately what it allows you to do, it allows you to try the different features out quickly, iterate, and if they don't work, you kill it. If it does work, you grow on it, expand and build it out.
So Microsoft today is a very different Microsoft to the one it was 10 years ago, but actually it's still very entrenched with enterprise. And I think you find yourself in this interesting position where the big enterprises trust you, but you can help them to migrate into cloud. There's Clearbank in the UK that I believe you partnered with. Are you seeing that we're going to get more deep infrastructure in the cloud in the near future in financial services?
Absolutely. I think there are new born in the cloud banks and financial institutions, Clearbank, Redwood Bank, many others, right? And as we know, many of the startup banks are born in the cloud. But this next generation that's coming out, they're coming out at more targeted, bigger sort of institutional sort of sizes. What we're seeing retail banks doing, but also investment banks, is aggressively looking at the cloud. And what they're looking at it to do is not just that experimentation playing to allow them to innovate, but how can they make use of data, build predictive learning, build machine learning models, and then use that to offer the best service to their customers and differentiate themselves from their competition.
It's almost a step after virtualization as well. For the last decade, I think a lot of financial institutions have been getting virtualization just about there in their own data centers, and now that helps them. Now they're starting to containerize a little. Getting to the cloud is a lot easier.
Absolutely, and really you can look at virtualization as efficient suitcase packing, right?
Yeah,
right? It's
efficient suitcase packing for your data center and your services and your products.
Absolutely, and you know that's, I'm sure, exciting for some, but the real kind of intellectual energy when you apply it to the sort of computer science problems that need to be solved today, because ultimately, what is banking? What are financial services? They're distributed systems.
They are, and if you have a microservices architecture, you have a very different kind of release schedule. So if you look at what's been happening with some of the large banks for the last 3-4 decades, they have weekends in which their service goes down so that they can do a release. Yeah. The reality of born in the cloud banks is that they're doing 8 to 10 releases a day, and they can take down nodes and deploy them and do whatever they need to do.
Absolutely. The other thing that is kind of a dark hidden secret of releasing software in banks is quiet periods. So for 6 weeks of the year, you cannot release anything towards the end of the year and at middle spots. And the reason for that is a combination of allowing stability at important times of the year, but also you may not have the staff. You know, you're in the middle of July and you don't have the staff in case something goes wrong when you do deployment. So having cloud automation and good DevOps techniques and serverless microservices just take away a lot of the need to have those paranoia processes built in.
Paranoia processes. There's a blog post there, I think.
I'll start writing after this.
Do. That's a great title. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your blockchain work as well. I mean, Microsoft has a number of blockchain as a service sort of tools, but if the blockchain was supposed to be about decentralizing and cutting out the middleman and not relying on your sort of one service provider, surely blockchain and Microsoft are incompatible.
Not at all. So there are a couple of ways. One is our blockchain as a service is multi-chain. So if you need to support multiple chains, you can do that.
So Ethereum and Ripple and whatever else, EOS maybe.
Chain, large number of them, right? Or even bring your own chain, right? So
BYOC.
Bring your own chain, baby. So the big thing with Azure is because it supports these platform services, it also has class-leading Linux hosts. So you can bring in anything you need. But the idea about having a cloud-hosted blockchain node or a blockchain environment is multifold. One, it allows you as an enterprise to do what you need to do. So you're not futzing about with your data center security policies, getting the right kernel builds going, right? We have it, you press your button. Two, it gives you the level of governance you need within these enterprises. So you know who's doing what, so in terms of accountability, traceability, but also enablement. So, hey Simon, you're working for a big financial corp over here, you want to use blockchain, just click this button and you get authorization. And the third thing is really about integration within the enterprise, because the blockchain is part of a broader piece that you're doing anyway.
Richard Brown, the CTO of R3, talks about the fundamental problem being, I need to know that what I see is the same as what you see. And if you think about the amount of errors and breaks and middle and back office costs that comes as a result of that, you don't necessarily solve that by moving your existing processes into the cloud. If you can change those processes, build truly digital processes, blockchain and DLT can help you with that.
Well, and that's it exactly. I was talking to one of the financial services providers here yesterday, and they were saying how one of their customers are large insurers, and they have a huge problem just reconciling payments, either in or out. So when they're paying things out, right? And it's like, that's crazy, right? We are in the 21st century, right? Reconciliation should not be the same level of difficulty that it is. And some of that comes to copying data because you're going across organizational barriers, but we have data controls now. So you can say, okay, I'm actually letting you access this bit of the data for these purposes only. And you can orchestrate those controls, and not in a bad way, right? Not in a heavy process-oriented way, in lightweight ways, through an API, through approval systems you might already have. But the other thing that we announced a couple of weeks ago was our workbench. And what that allows you to do from an enterprise or from personal level, you can build your own blockchain environment, and we'll spin it up with message bus integration. So you can just populate the bus with the data you need through web page management. And so it's an end-to-end solution. It's not just hash codes going through, which are cool, but you need to sit into this bigger play.
Well, it's like if somebody came along and gave you the wheels and the chassis of a car. That's great, but I kind of need a steering wheel, and I'd like a roof, and I'd like some windows, and I'd like some seats.
And a transmission.
And and all of these things that you need to actually be able to drive and use and operate the thing. People often don't think of enterprise solutions being sort of just the tech, but it's not. It's all the things you need to operate the tech and manage alerts and errors and monitoring and all that kind of stuff, and cybersecurity and everything that kind of comes around that allows you to plug into your existing infrastructure. So have you guys got any projects going on? Have you got anything that you're working on at the moment in that space? Anything that's out in the public domain?
Public domain, some things are coming out of the public domain right now. We're doing great work with customers actively around the world. Within the public domain, I think you saw the announcement, I think it was last week, around marine insurance and shipping insurance using blockchain, and that's fabulous, right? So that was born out of different needs. We had some customers who were going through pirate-infested waters, for example, and to get an insurance policy to cover you for pirate-infested waters is quite expensive.
Yar.
So absolutely, we should do this. You should focus this on a World Pirate Talk Like a Pirate Day. But what they want to do is using IoT and blockchain to allow you to register when you are within a dangerous part of the world where there's a high risk of piracy, in the literal sense, and change your policy, and it becomes metered for the time you're in there.
And so what's the blockchain component of that? Like, what's the blockchain doing in there that you couldn't have done with traditional tech?
Well, a number of things. One is used as a verificability layer. So your IoT sensor, which has GPS coordinates, is saying, okay, I am now here. The blockchain is saying, yeah, he is. Right? It's sharing the data out through the replication that blockchain replication gives you.
So we all agree that that thing is true.
Yes. And I see what you see.
Yes, I know that what I see is what you see. Yeah, we all agree that that chip is in fact there.
That's right. And then afterwards, if you do need to kind of go through and do an audit, you have it there. The write forward log is there to prove that.
I like that term, verifiability layer. That's a really nice shorthand for what you need. So, cool. Like, where can people go to find out more about everything you're doing at Microsoft?
Yeah, well, the best thing to do is just go to Microsoft.com and type in blockchain. It's amazing what we have.
Aman, thank you very much for being on FinTech and Blockchain Insider.
Thanks.
Thank you.